Which one? Oh. Come on, work with me. Really? Give me this much of a combo. There it goes. Just a quick little audio test. Okay, I'll put away the keyboard now. Since I don't need to use that right now. At least I hope I don't need to right now. And it's gonna fall. Okay. There we go. Just gonna clean up my desk a little bit. And put my water right here. Not a good spot for it. Gonna put my water by the soldering iron. How about that? And this is just water. Okay, I'm gonna do a little pre-prep. I can actually turn the desktop off real quick here. Oop, of course. It's actually on the wrong desktop. There we go. And turn off the secondary screen right now. I'd like to actually cut that off altogether. There we go. And let's see. That should be the whole prep at this point. So I'm going to try taking this drone, as horrible as it looks, and this drone, as pretty as it looks. Yeah, I know. The antenna is all nice and damaged up. It hit hard on the ground. And the actual antenna itself is okay, even though the material that sits around it is all damaged up. But what I am going to do, as you can see real quick here, I have the PallStar all-in-one flight controller. Someone in Discord was asking if anybody's used it, and I actually have used it. It's actually a fairly good board. The only problem that I have with it is its gyroscope seems to be a little too sensitive at 8 kilohertz, and I had to bring it back down to 4 kilohertz, which it's okay. It's, as I said, it's not the greatest. I noticed it is quite wobbly. Also could be these things that could be causing the problem. These motors are kind of junky. They are the PallStar's. I wanted to just have a quick build, cheap, and yeah, those, when flying, it goes, it has also that wonderful sound to it. I also have the run cam split, which I'm keeping in here. That's what the second board is over here. And then I have the TBS Unify V2 transmitter, which actually it's a very good transmitter. I like it. When you put it up to full 800 milliwatt, which I'm actually a licensed ham, so I can actually do that. So I was able to put that up there. Also, I have in here a FreeSky. If I remember right, this one is the XSR receiver. Yep, this is the XSR receiver. The one I have in here is the older receiver, which the X4 SB, which one of the antennas got totally destroyed. And yeah, this guy, it still can fly after I replaced that antenna, but there's some other things that were going on with it. I'll get to that in a bit here. And this frame is the FPV Syndicate shredder stretched 5-inch. It's a really nice frame. I like this frame. It's easy to work with. It works with the double stack. I tried with a triple stack, but it doesn't really fit too well with a triple stack. It has a little bit of tightness. I made this little battery holder, so it protects the batteries if I ever come down a little bit hard. I do need to do a little bit of a cleanup on this frame, but before I do anything with this frame, there is a few other things I want to do. But as for like this board, I'm going to be replacing it. What I'm going to be replacing it with is this Joshua Bardwell all-in-one F4. I like the design. It's really clean. I do have to get a SD card for it, for the black box. But as I said, it's a nice clean board from everything that I've seen. I have on my screen over here the instructions just to help go along with it. If anybody needs any information on this board, I would actually suggest going to Joshua Bardwell's YouTube channel and taking a look at it. It's really a good board. Give me 1 second here. My Google Assistant decided it needed to see what I was doing. Anyway, not only that, I also got a few, I put them underneath this tape and all this wonderful stuff here. Wonderfully organized being I am, and I gotta figure out, oh, okay, anyway, I got these Ray 32 V2s. Let me just actually show a little bit on it. And these are actually fairly decent ESCs. They're the 32 bits. Since anyway they are going all that way, the LHESs are nice, but might as well go a little bit further into the future. But what I like about these is that you can also do turtle mode without doing any special hacks. It also has the D-shot already built in. Don't have to do any patchings to it. And yes, I'm still looking for something that I moved out of here. Hopefully they didn't fall. Nope, they didn't fall. I'm looking for all my... They're right there in front of me, I guess. Nope, they're not. I have to figure out where I put all my ESCs, because now I only have 2 of them in view. And the other 2 are hiding in view. And they're not behind my camera. They're not there. They're not there. They were there, but they're not there now. Thought I got myself all set up for this. Well, I am going to need them if I am going to conformally coat them. So I need to quickly figure out where I put them. Ta-da! I found them! Anyway, where was I going with this? Let's look. Okay. Someone's asking about that the Racer Star, but he's asking what to put that FS-IA10B on the S-Bus or TX2. I think if I remember right, that Racer Star, I think the iBus support is on TX2, but let me double check. So let me go. Come on, finish signing in. So yeah, I logged in on a different computer, and for some reason it logged me out of here. Didn't expect that. Anyway, so I was going to look up that Racer Star real quick, since that person was asking about the TX. You know what? I might have it on paper here. Oh no, wait, there was no paper with it. That's right. So I think we actually have to look at the manual that they have online. All the images come up and it just slides everything out. Okay, S-Bus PPM is on that S-Bus channel. So it's possible that would be the same to put it on, but when we double check in its manual, well, how about that? The manual is exactly the same thing. Gotta let it redo all the images, and I can slide back down to there. I'm right now gonna say that it should work off the same pad as the S-Bus. Might have to type that in. Oh, I'm typing color caps. Okay, now that I'm done with that, hopefully I can get on with this part here. So first thing I want to do actually is do the conformal coating, because that's going to take a while for that to dry. And while those are drying up, I can start disassembling the drones for what I want out of them. Now another thing I did, I made these little 3D printed cases for my beta flight, for my ESCs. And they are a little on the tight side because the original design was for the original Wraiths. And I find out that these, even though they are spec the same size, are actually just a touch larger. So I did a little modification using Tinkercad to make them a little bit larger, but that little bit larger was just enough to get it to fit in there with a very tight fit. And that's what's going on right now, is that very tight fit is making it very tough to get this one out. And this was something that I was testing with initially. But I printed for these. It has a little lock on the back to make sure that they stay all together. The way that I'm going to put them on, I'll figure it out. Especially since the drone I'm going to be putting them on, it's going to be a little bit bigger than the arm. I'm actually thinking to put them on the undersides to be away from those blades. The shredder has holes in the arms. I am going to need to clean up this frame a little bit. It's got some grass on it. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? Let me go ahead and take this out of the way. Put the conformal coating here, get all the ESCs prepared. Oh, and one other thing that I think is really fun about these ESCs, the original Wraiths had one LED, and they put it on, if you ask me, it's the underside, but that's okay. With these, it has 4 LEDs. I don't know exactly how they show up when they're fired on, but with the ESC protectors that I created, I used a transparent material, so the LEDs should actually show through. The last one. The race day quads is really cool for printing up this documentation for them, the pinout. So you can actually see how it all shows up. Make sure that you can see what I'm showing here. And what I really like is the transmit pin for the ESC telemetry. It's right on the pin out portion here. It's not somewhere else on the board, like on the side, like the original one. It was like right over here in this area, or actually on this side. You'll notice it has all these capacitors on it now. The beauty of having these capacitors, and I think this one capacitor is added for a very special reason. That's a 1000 microfarad capacitor. That's supposed to be the noise reduction capacitor. So that means I don't need to use this. That's awesome. Okay. So because of that, I'm actually going to go ahead and put this away. I'm going to have to put it in a case later. So the first thing I'm going to do is conformal coat these. I'm going to use a little helping hand. I have them silicone, well not silicone, but I have a little bit of electric tape on the end. And that's supposed to help in making sure I don't damage these guys. So you can tell these guys are actually not conformally coated. There is no reflectivity on them at all. So I'm going to put conformal coating on components. You don't really want to put the conformal coating on the pads. I did put a little bit on one pad, but what can you do when you're sweeping? Okay. Okay. The beauty of it is that it's not. I don't know. I wanted to flip it over. I'm going to use the helping fingers that didn't get all messed up on one of my little projects. I'm looking at this to make sure that I can find a spot that doesn't need to be conformally coated, that I can flip this on right there, and I can coat that rest. Now the reason why you want to conformal coat these is because of water. The beauty of conformal coating is you won't, well, it's basically waterproofing the part. And that's what I'm doing here, is just waterproofing this part. And the best way to check that your conformal coating has gone on properly is using a black light, which I have right here. If you don't break it, it works. So I just need to fix the button on it real quick because it popped out. I have one of these cheapo black lights, and I really do mean cheapo. It pops the power switch every time for some reason. And let's see if I can get that working now. Now, as you can see, the way that it is reflecting the light, that's because of the conformal coating. And it's not 100% yet, so I want to cover everywhere that electricity is going to flow. Except, of course, the pads. So that is now conformally coated. We should double check on this side here. You'll see where I do have a pad covered, which I accidentally did. And there's a little bit here not done. Conformal coating is transparent for LEDs, so I'm not worried about the LEDs being covered. I just want to make sure that wherever there's a circuit that is exposed, that it is covered. I feel my touch there. There we go. One ESC done. And I use a silicone pad, by the way. So I'm going to set this. Can't do that. Okay. I'm going to set it over here on that ledge. Next, to conformal coat. Due to the fact that I don't want any copyright issues, I'm not having any music playing. I apologize if you were hoping for some music. Oh my bad. I just want to be protective of it. Okay, let's take a look and see what it's looking like. Now, you can solder through the conformal coating. It just makes it a little bit more difficult. Some people, when they conformal coat, they coat the whole thing. They don't care if it covers up the pads or anything. I mean, it works. The only problem with conformal coating the pad is, as I said, it just makes it a little bit more difficult to solder on. It just makes it where, first of all, it's going to stink. The conformal coating makes a smell from hell when it burns. And it is kind of carcinogenic, not really too bad, but I still don't like breathing stuff. I know some people are like, well, why don't you put on like an air mask or something? Good question. Maybe I just don't want it. And I did get it a little bit on another pad, but that's okay. I actually saw it on the other side, those pads. The way that I designed, or it's actually somebody else designed it, but I had to redo a little bit on it because the original design, as I said, was for the original rates. And these rates too do have a little bit different on design. So, work for me here. I have a feeling I got some on my shirt. I'm going to find out. Nope, can't tell. I use a detergent that shines just as bright as conformal coating. I just don't want it to get sticky on the silicone. Because I don't know if you can see in the camera view here, there are some spots that shine bright. I also noticed that the camera is detecting the UV light very brightly no matter what it shines on. I'm over here showing examples and nope, it ain't helping. Okay, next piece. Shut that off. Ooh, that was a gripper. Uh-oh. My phone, which I also use as my camera, and a beep. And I do apologize on the frame rates. I'm using my phone as the camera since I really, well, I kind of forgot my main camera. It's just going to be recorded. My main camera is right now about 100 miles away. Well, it's more like 65 really. I accidentally left it in a friend's car when we went up to Flagstaff last. When I got out of the car, I forgot the camera in there. What it was is that it fell out of my bag, and I was too frustrated to put it back in the bag, so I put it in his glove compartment. When I got out of the car, I totally forgot about it. Yep. smoke off. Now these wraiths, the SMDs on here are so small. Especially some of the not the capacitors, but like the transistors on here. Some really small, some really small resistors too. And of course, there's a couple of really tiny capacitors. This thing's got small components on it. I need to get a new one, I know. Over here also looking at the live stream, how much of a delay it has. It's crazy. There. These small components are hard to get through because of how close they have these to the pads. I don't want to be a master, like I said. Oh, really? I only started soldering just a couple months ago when I put my games together. First time. Of course, this is not the soldering part yet, but we'll get there. That's why I wear these. I'm not, I don't have the most defined eyes in the world. And I don't use, oh look, I'm conformally coated. And I don't use glasses. Because my normal vision is actually fairly sharp. And I can even read where it says over here PMW, TX, and ground. But when I solder, I like to still wear these because it brings up their, oh yeah, they now look really large, everything on here. I can even read what it says on the chips. Looks like it says FD51K86. Yeah. Anyway, that's one of the processors on here. Now let's go ahead and do this way so I can get these chips back here. Still no motion. Yeah. Okay. Now that is going on. Now let's take a look here. Oh, people were asking stuff and I was not even there. Wow, how far back did this go? 5 skies, 5 faulty, color day, when there's 19-hour. Okay. S-Bus patch should work. I might have to run S-Bus if iBus doesn't work. And there was a ring at the doorbell. So this is not a recorded video, this is a live stream. This is a recorded video, I cut out, come back in. But the doorbell, I'm gonna go check on it. Trash bin out of the room. Be right back. And it's something from Banggood. You know what it is? I know what it is. I know perfectly well what it is. It comes from their New Jersey area. Yes, Banggood does have U.S. locations. And sometimes I think when they distribute from their America sites, it takes longer than when you order it from their Hong Kong site. I have no understanding about that, but anyway, these are batteries. And I got 4 of them to replenish my supply. And they're all going to be 4-cell, 1800 milliamp. Yes, SUP powers. And I always quickly do an inspection. See, I don't like this plastic coating that they use. You tap the ground once and it becomes this shredded stuff. I'm just unpacking these real quick before I continue on. Okay. Now, the way I designate the difference between charged and discharged batteries in my battery bag is I use a rubber band that comes wrapped around asparagus. The rubber band is nice and thick and holds up very well. Not the best popping stuff. And one more. I did have 4 previously. These are actually really good batteries. I like them. I mean, they're not super high C, they're 65C. But, of course, with 65C, you can go for about 3 seconds up to about 130 amps. Actually, 130C, 1.8. So you can basically hit maybe 150 amps for a couple of seconds. Okay, they all look good. Okay. I'll go put them on my charging area. I'm not going to plug them in yet. I don't think I'm going to be ready until later today or maybe tomorrow. But anyway, let's get back to this. Okay, I need to put more on that. Okay. No, it's all over the pads. Oh well. It won't hurt anybody. Now, I was thinking about getting the spray tip for this guy, the conformal coating. I just don't like to spray too much. With the brush, you can actually be a little bit more accurate, even though the spray goes a lot faster. Let me go. Yeah, some did leak around to the other side here. That's okay. This makes it a little bit easier to finish covering the capacitors. This is from on a team recently announced. Sabotage RC. Is that the owner of Armatan? That's cool. But after this is all finished up, I'm going to share it into the video group and on Discord. I know this is all crap. It's not like a flying video. It's a build. Oh, it's a rebuild video with doing modifications on equipment, namely putting conformal coating on some of the stuff, taking an already built drone and just going to be rebuilding it. I'm going to use the shredder frame since that's actually my favorite frame right now. I'm going to put to rest the Martian frame. And it was fun. 35 amp ESC. Oh, on the Armatan, the new Armatans. The Rooster, I guess, uses them. Okay. And the last part to conformally coat is that Bardwell board. This one's going to be a little bit different because it's all pads. This is a huge pad fest. That's okay. I don't really want to get any conformal coating on any of the pads in here, so I'm just going to go over some of the chips. The reason for that is because when you try to solder through the coating, there's a lot of heat produced. And you don't want to do too much heat on the pad because it's how you lose your pads. They flop right off. So you don't overheat them. Now, when you're done conformal coating the chip, you want to let it sit for maybe an hour to dry up. So I want to do this part first. And after it's done being coated, after it's done drying, hopefully I will get the rest of the parts prepared. Removing all the stuff from all the stuff from the drones. I'm going to tear apart the whole shredder. I'm going to clean it. And after that's done being cleaned, then I'll mount the motors. I'm going to have to see. Well, that's another thing with the conformal coating. Don't put it directly on the button. Also, your USB connector, just put it on. Connectors don't cover it for USB. If you do that, you're just asking for trouble. There's another thing about the conformal coating. It does block electrical transfer across where the coating is at. And that side's done. See, everything is on the outside, all the pads. So you just want to put it on the components that are inside. As you can see, that's what I did. Now this side has a little bit more components and no pads. Well, it's got a few pads, but I'm I'm not as worried about the pads here. Because there's only a couple of pads. The only pads are for the 5 volt or 3.3 volt, which on my equipment is going to be 5 volts. Almost done. And I'm not going to put any of this on the SD slot for reasons that it's very easy for it to slop into the connector. You don't want that. It did have some leak, but it shouldn't be too bad. I don't think it got to the other side. I don't think it got to the other side. Okay. Yeah, it's not on the pads. Good. Okay. Now, due to the fact that this has those standoff pads on them, the gummies, I'm not as worried about standing that one up. Now to start taking apart the other drums. Okay. First thing I want to do is I want to take the Martian. There's only a few things I'm going to take off of it. The only parts I'm going to take out from it are going to be the motors and the LED and soundboard. I'll go ahead and pull that soundboard first. So I'm thinking if I want music, I can easily just jump to SoundCloud and look for some free music to listen to. I can smell the dirt that got burnt on this. I'm cleaning the old solder that's on these a little bit off. Okay. Clean up that one there and that one there. I'm going to make sure the conformal coating on this is still good. The reason why you want to make sure your conformal coating is just in case any moisture gets. See, at the park that I like to fly, they drench that park big time. So now for the motors. That's all I'm going to take off of this. I'm going to leave the stack that's on here. It's a nice stack. It's a DYS all-in-one, basically, if you really want to consider it. It's the DYS F4 Pro and the DYS ESC. There's no wiring between the two because it uses a pinout, The only wiring you do is from the motors to the ESC 4-in-1. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try, well, to be honest with you, I might have to even clip the motors, the wires, because of the ESCs that I'm putting on are going to be a little bit better. Let's see if I can just go ahead and tap these off. Just like that. Yeah, I'm going to keep on doing that. Just tap them off. I don't need to take all the wires all the way off because I hope this is still in camera view. Ha ha ha. Yeah, it is. Come on. It's starting to get hot on the wire, but the solder is not softening. That just tells me a lot of impurities got in on it. Okay. I might have to clip the tips of these wires off anyway. That's okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So it's right now almost 250. When I was done getting those all coated. So, like I said, we might want to let it sit for maybe an hour while I'm doing all this. And after I'm done pulling these motors, I'm going to tear apart the whole shredder. Because, as I said, I'm going to clean the setup. It got really dirty on my last flight. I'm not getting any steam off of that. Let's see, maybe I just need to retin it. I can leave that. Really? Even after I retinned it, did not want to melt. One motor extracted. Let me clip all these in one shot, the rest of them. Okay. Now, a lot of people have different ways of doing their soldering of, well, splicing of wires. I want to go. A lot of people think that you should twist your wires and then solder that. What I do the horizontal junction. The reason for that is that when you do like this, if there's too much pull, you'll actually stretch out the wires and the solder is going to be too weak to hold down those points. When you do the horizontal junction, when it pulls, you have all that solder to pull on, that it's really holding tight. The only time that's going to become weak is when you vertically lift. But when you have the wires like this, there's really not a lot of vertical lift space for it to go, so it's not going to release that tension. when you have the horizontal, it really holds on tight. That's why I do that. Might be something some people might be able to find useful if they constantly wonder why their solder joints break all the time when they splice their wires together. Hopefully that's a little info that can help. It also makes it very easy to remove that solder when it's time to pull. And one more to remove the shrink. And there's my torch in here. I might have let the torch out when I was experimenting with something, but I can easily get that later. That's when I start heat shrinking stuff together. Oh, still no one in here. Now, I might not be able to finish this tonight. One, two, three. Okay. As I said, the way that I do it, it just makes it real easy to separate if you use the right setup. See how quickly that just popped right off? Just like that. That stuff's hot. One, two, and three. Okay. And some people have their siren round cleaner in like one of those things. I don't have one of those things because this is really just a wire. It's just a scouring pad that you can buy anywhere for doing dishes. That's all what it is. It's the exact same thing. A 3-pack, $1. Works just fine. Anyway, now it's time to pull these motors. So, there we are. That should be the right size. Let's find out real quick. Yes. Now, one thing I like about this silicone pad, that's a magnet right there. It has a few magnets. So you got this magnet. I have a magnet underneath the helping hands here. This one over here is also a magnet. This spot over here is if you want to magnetize your tool. So yeah, this is actually a very nice silicone pad. One motor free. And it spins nicely. Matter of fact, earlier I took my motor, one of my motors apart because there was a small lock in it. I might do it for the rest just so I can do the standard maintenance. Oil up the bearing just a touch. Now I use the longer screws because I also have these on a TPU mount to help reduce transfer vibration. Yeah, I know these screws will transfer the vibration, but it actually still reduces it a touch. Every little bit counts, I consider. I mean, the flight controller has gummies on it. Now, you know what? I better be careful on which ways I'm putting these. Even though they're all the same side, well, you know what? It really matters on the ESC, so it doesn't matter. I was going to say, just want to make sure that I'm putting it on the right way that I configure the spin. That's not matter. That's ESC. That's okay. And also, different from what other people put their motors, I have them spin out. So basically, the front right, it's going to be spinning clockwise. Front left will be spinning counterclockwise. Yeah. And of course, the opposite on the rears. The rear right is going to go counterclockwise, while the rear left is going to go clockwise. Lots of screws. Now, as I'm removing these, I still got the TPU. I'm wondering, should I stick with the TPU or switch over to some silicons that I got? TPU doesn't really do a lot of vibration reduction. The silicons do. But the silicons are a little bit harder to work with because they compress. And because of that, you can't really get the motors tightly screwed in. And with that, of course, that's why I have, there's a little blue bottle I have here. Apple port. It's not where I originally placed it this morning. Come on. I had to do a little bit of redesigning on my desk to get the camera set up. Okay. This weight difference is huge. I'm going to take this and put this over here because that's actually for the camera board. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this over here. Like the graveyard. I'm going to take a few seconds. I'm going to just slightly sort here because I'm looking for my blue stuff. It might be in my center box. Nope. Maybe it's in my parts box. Which would be weird. Is it in my parts box? Okay, it's not in the parts box. Grab those gummies. Stop this just because I'm missing my Loctite glue. I said I had to rearrange, so I moved some stuff out of the way. Nope, that's not it. I thought that was it for a second. Well, when I get to that part, I'll look for it again. It's one of the things that actually might have fallen behind. Looking here just before I leave up for now. Jump drill. Okay, so we're at a point where I'm thinking it's somewhere that was moved to when I was keying, but it's not critical right now. It's not even critical when I put all this back together, but I will want to. I also noticed that I'm missing my zip ties. Wonderful. I know where those are at. Okay, let me continue going on over here. So now I got the motors all removed. Now the question is, do I want to put them above or below? Oh, this one still has its TPU. I'm also going to open these up and do slight maintenance on them. And they feel great still, but you know how it is. So here is Shredder. And I'm going to take, actually the first thing I'm going to take off Shredder is that antenna. I'm going to replace it with a pagoda. I have one somewhere here. Here it is. Right next to my smoke stopper. Right behind the soldering iron, which I just touched. Yeah, got that nice little pagoda, which I'm going to use instead. I liked it a lot better. Time to cut off a few things here in a second. I'm going to get this off. Yeah, another thing that I wanted to do with this, which also prompted me to really redo the whole thing. It's hard to see, but there's these 4 holes right over here. What those are is actually supposed to be the screw mounts. They're holding the flight stack all together. One of my crashes broke them. Broke all 4 of them because they are nylon. The stack doesn't move much out of there, so it's not really caused any problems, but still, I don't want any other issues going with that. And these Racer Star motors, you can tell this one here, something's going on with it. It doesn't have the full range of motion. But before I go on, let me just get rid of those blades. These blades are kind of worn out badly, so I might also just junk those blades and replace them with newer ones. And since these are aluminum, they're not going to hold on to that magnet there. Okay. One of the reasons why I like the Emax. I didn't have to do a little click that I just did right now to change the direction of the wrench. I guess while I have these removed, I'll be able to find out, I'll be able to take them apart. These use the C-clamp, so it's a little bit tougher to pull those motors apart. Not really designed to be pulled apart, I guess. One of the reasons why it's so cheap. Okay. Get that to the way. Okay. Now it's easier to handle. Put these in the pile of props there. Okay. Now remove this electrical tape here, 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 and here. Well, I'm going to get a little hello from my brother in a second here. I can already feel it. What was really cool, the way that the wiring, the way I did the wiring on this. I should click it on that side. That one's not as easy to grip. It looks like it's someone holding on. As I said, I'm going to take this one all the way apart because this is the one that I'm going to be putting on everything after I'm done. And one more piece of tape. A little bit more. Okay, I'm going to take off the antenna covers. I'm going to junk these. These, on the other hand, I'm keeping. So let's start from this guy here. A couple days ago, I was out in the park. God, this one actually has a little bit of magnet tightness than these other ones. Okay. I'm going to take these motors off. I have to take off all this heat shrink tubing. I thought I was going to be cute and put on a little bit longer tubes. I mean, they help with keeping them out of everything. But as you can see, how difficult they can be to take off. And I use thinner wires on these because, I don't know. Actually, that's the wires that it came with. I use thicker wires on the ones that go into the motors. This is actually going to require me to take the tops off. I'm just going to take off the white parts. The black part I can keep on because they have nothing to do with ooh, food I hear. Falafel. I'm getting hungry now. It's already 3. Oh, being that nobody's watching the screen, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Okay, and one more. Okay, now, to finish this off, I have to take the top shell off. So, I'm going to take these 4 screws out. This will let us lift the top lid. And then I'm going to unsolder the camera and the receiver off the main board. all this powder that's still left on this board here is from the Loctite glue. Okay, now I can easily pop these off because of those screws. That's a pain in the rear because, so you can see my flight stack came off. Now, I'm going to go ahead and remove the camera board from the camera. Okay.
I bought some falafel. You want me to heat you up your falafel?
Yes, please. Thank you. Well, that means I'm going to be disconnecting from the screen in a little bit. I'm unplugging the XSR. And it's directly soldered to the board. So I'm unplugging it from the wiring. I had the zip tie holding it in place. And this I'm going to put it in what I saved it for. Okay. Because I'm actually retiring that XSR at this point. I'm going to be replacing it with, well, I might be able to still use that XSR. It has the telemetry on it. We'll see. I was going to use the RXSR because it's a 1/4 its size. Okay. Sorry. Cable board from the stack. I have a socket that fits it, but I have to look through my bag. It's not in my socket set. It's actually a separate piece floating in my flight bag because I didn't even carry the whole socket kit, and I had a Ziploc that was in that broke. But the pieces are still somewhere in the bag. This was just one screw that was hard to undo. It's because I melted it a touch. Oh boy. And now, to unsolder it from the board, because I am going to reuse the camera board. There. All these cables are going to get in the way. Everything's got to get in the way now. Right? I'm not too worried as much about the wires. I'm going to be replacing them with silicone coated wires. Okay, camera board removed. For yeah. Oh yeah. What's really nice about this is with the Barkwell board, I'm going to be also connecting all the camera connectors to it. Because The diagonal board has, with the camera, has a camera control pad on here. I'm going to use it. Okay, now I need to reuse this wire though for the receiver. Actually, I'm going to switch over to this. I might not be wearing a problem. Yes, I am going to use it because I just remembered something. I don't know where I put the other cable. Anyway. And this is actually tough to work with here. But if you look, do an actual size comparison between the XSR and the RSXR. I mean, the board is literally just about a quarter the size. Really, look at that. Let me put it over here where the connector is at. It's about a quarter of its size. Plan to use it though, I will have to. Well, it looks like there is conformal coating on it already. It's got a little bit of the shimmer on it. So I won't have to worry about it if I use that. But I could still use this because that's another thing you got to think about. There are wires on these. And yes, the XSR, they're still good quality. I might just go ahead and use it. Which means I will have to, well, you know, this cable does not have the required, I think I actually pulled that pin because it was getting in the way. I might have to go with this anyway because I don't know where that pin's at anymore. There's 2 wires, so I'm not going to use that. Okay, that answers that. On the other hand though, the VTX, yeah, I need to unsolder that now. Those out of view. And how to pull those. One thing that really annoyed me about this board is that I needed to put all my 5-volt connectors onto the same. Darn it. You know what? I'm going to first pull the motors. The motor wires. I need to put some soldering here. Help. Stay. These are a little bit harder to do. Really? Well, this is going to be a little tough to pull. No, when I put these on, I did kind of use a lot of solder. And that does give a little bit of the difficulty I'm removing. I might just cut these. I'm just going to cut them. Because I don't plan on using this board much, but I don't want to destroy it either. So I'm just going to cut them. I'm going to cut them back here to make it at least something grippable. I want to reuse it. What this will allow me to do is get these arms out of the way temporarily. Getting rid of another zip tie. Okay, now let's go ahead and nothing to do. Let's make this a little bit there. Go ahead and decide if some of these wires don't need to be on it anymore. Come on, you do it. Ground line is always the toughest to pull. Okay, so there is the old receiver's wires, which I'm not going to use. So I can find the replacement wires that I pulled off of it. So these wires that are on here out of the way that don't need to be on here anymore. No, that was for the camera board. Funny how melting the plastic off the wire, the side is not budging. That wire was easy to pull. I don't want to give it a signal wire. And a 5 volt. This guy is not released. Who messaged me? Words with friends. Someone's waiting on me to play. As you can see, I can formally tilt that guy up. That's why I had to remove that plastic cover that's on it. Well, it's an okay board. The gyro, on the other hand, just wasn't handling proper. But as I said, it could also have been those PallStar motors that caused that problem. But I'm not gonna play with that. I wanted to use the JB board that came out. I like the quality of it, and this is gonna require a bigger bit to pull the motors. So. Do that real quick. But the XSR should use the same pinout as the RS XSR. So after I'm done pulling these motors here, I'm going to quickly check and compare the wires. Okay. Let's take a look, compare it to the other wire that I pulled off. Where did I put it? Yep, exactly. That'll work. What I should do is I should put this away. Right there. Anyway, so I use the same cable, but I also use the XSR instead of the RXSR. Well, we'll see. I might still switch over to the RXSR because it is a smaller unit. And also the antennas are replaceable. Now, the screws that came with the PallStar, they're the bullet type. They're not the convex type. As you can see, the silicone, they're easy to remove too, and they might be reusable. I want to clean up the parts though. I want to actually take it through a wash. So that's one arm. I might actually stop doing this in a bit here because I want to go eat. It's also be coming through 30. So I've already been on this for what, an hour and a half? Says 2 hours ago is when I started the stream. So I've already been working on this for 2 hours. And that's just pulling the goddamn thing apart. Okay. And one more. And the final screw. Now the only part I'm not going to be able to clean is going to be this one little plate that I have like glued the VTX onto. This plate here, because I glued the VTX on. It's just a double-sided tape, but apparently I had a really good strip of it. So I'm not going to be doing anything with that. I'm going to, on the other hand, disconnect the wire from the IPX. try to get in contact with the guy who runs FPV Syndicate and see if I can get replacements out there. Okay, before I go on, I want to see something. I need to span this. Secret. Which I don't have a proper tilt for it, apparently. I thought this. Yeah, I thought this was going to be able to span it, but it's not. But I could see the garbage that's built up in the bearing. And there is a rock in the motor. That could have been what was going on nuts on me. Bearing's clogged though. Oh, this one, the bearing is all. You don't even see the bearing in this one. It's still gonna keep these racer stars, even though well, that might have been what the problem was with it, but as I said, I'm switching over to the E Maxes. I'm gonna put these over here for now, over by the suntan lotion. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and clean these guys. Oh, I wanted to also clean up these. Oh, these parts don't need to be cleaned. They're actually still fairly nice and clean themselves. Maybe, oh, that's actually the CA. Okay. This I don't need to worry about. I'll just take the base plates and clean these up. Where's the main base? There it is. And I'll be back. Okay, so I am now going to put this down. I'm going to do a little cleanup of my work area because I need to have a clean work area. Okay. Put this. Let's see if I can separate these. Forgot the way that I had these mounted. That's another thing that I did not like about this all-in-one board. These are actually voltage. They are not ground. That, in my opinion, was a problem. So you have to be very careful on how you have that set up. Okay. Take these nuts off of these sticks. That's what they are now, it's just sticks. Nuts are usable, sticks are not. I'm not yet going to throw these away. I might find use for them. Okay. What else? These are the screws from the PallStar's. So you can see they are just a touch longer. Actually, I would say they're about the same size, but they have the square heads instead of the beveled heads. I use the beveled ones because anyway those are the ones that came with the Emacs. Put these on this magnet here to keep them out of the way. I'm going to put those there. This is for my transmitter, so I'm going to put this in the part slot. These are frame screws, so I'm going to put them there. This is part of that, so there. XSR is going to be reused. I made that decision. I'm going to put these nuts over here. There's a USB cable here for a microscope, which I don't need right now anyway. Battery tray, I'm going to put right over here. Matter of fact, I can put the conformal coating away. Don't need that. So, I'm going to want this part here. Right there, we need that. I don't need this. Is that good enough?
I think the falafel is ready.
The falafel is ready. With that being said,